right, everybody. Hi, my name's Rashida. I'm the Ally coach. Welcome to Just the Beginning, and I want to introduce you to, oh man, she's gonna be annoyed at this introduction, but I don't
What is
care.
it?
Here we go. First of all, my sister friend for over 30 years, my mentor, the reason I am on the path that I am on today, the incomparable, and we're just going to talk about how amazing she is in this interview right now, Rhonda L. Bayless.
Woo! Thank you. I appreciate that introduction. I'm excited to be in conversation with you. Who would have known?
This is where we was gonna be.
This is the part of the end game or the mid game or wherever we're at with this.
It's part of the game. That's what
It's
I
the
do
game.
know. It's part of
Yeah.
the game.
Yeah.
Hi, Rhonda.
Hi, Rashida. How are you?
Good. Thank you for coming and talking to me.
I am excited. Like I said, it's a part of just the journey of us
Yeah,
to,
exactly. It
yeah,
makes sense, I feel. It just
yeah,
makes sense on who we are.
yeah,
And we were talking after the election. So all of this is post-election.
yeah.
And one thing that I know about the world is that there is a lot of fear.
Hmm.
But what I also know is that there's nothing new under the sun.
Hmm.
And so we're going to talk about dispelling some of that fear. But
Hmm.
before we get to that, I would love for you. So, Rhonda L. Bayless is the founder and executive director of the Centers of Wellness for Urban Women, also known as CWU. So, if you hear us say CWU, that's what we're talking about. And I was very blessed to be in the room during the evolution and the inception of Siwoo. I
Very
remember when
much.
Siwoo was an idea in a giant binder,
Yeah, yeah.
and now it is a breathing, thriving, wonderful organization. So, can you tell the viewers about Siwoo and what it does for the community?
Well, thank you. And yes, you were literally there at the
In the room, I was in the room where it happened.
where
Okay.
you're in the room where it happened. And so with that, I'll kind of start from there. At that time, me and Rashida were working on a program that really was great. We all see that as the birthplace of all of us,
Yeah.
woman to woman. And but what we also were seeing it was that women weren't centering themselves; they were centering their conditions or their issues. And so the idea was, how do you create a space so that women can first start thinking of themselves first,
Hmm.
um, start thinking about their wants and needs first, and then we can get to those issues and those kind of conversations. So that was kind of the birth of Siwu. And so
Hmm.
that's who
Kind
we
of like
are.
that filling our own cup
Feel
so we can give everybody
uh,
the
ourselves
overflow.
first. Like, who
Yeah,
am I? Even if it's that kind of
right,
thing, right? Like,
right.
who am I? What do I want to do? Even in the middle of chaos, even in the middle of drama, that you have that opportunity to kind of readjust. And so that is really who SEWO is. We are a whole health, whole person organization here in Indianapolis, with 11 staff,
Come on,
which
11
is really
staff.
just exciting. Um, of women of all ages who are really excited about connecting with community, and so we're just a place for women, and we're very gendered. So we look at the lens through the lens of what it means to be, right? Like, there
Hmm.
is a specific way, and we're not just our body parts. So
Right.
I'm not going to work with you because you have breasts and a vagina or whatever. But there's a gendered way to look at housing, to look at mental health, to look at those things. So that's
Yeah.
really who Siwu is. And we're still evolving, but I'm excited that we're at this place,
Yeah.
in community. And so that we can kind of push, women's health and women's needs.
Yes, I love that. I love that. It's a wonderful organization. We're going to talk more about it in a
Mhm.
little bit, but I want to know what the word ally means to you.
So many things. It's so many things because I know that I've needed allies, right? Like is I
Hmm.
know, so I always start kind of from there of, and that may be a selfish thing, but
No, because that's where you've experienced it probably first.
yes, right,
Yeah.
right. From being, um, I'll put it like this: a black woman in a all gay white male space.
Man,
there
man.
were there were some allyship I needed in that space in a time where, right, you remember them
Because
days.
they're still white men. Okay.
They're still white men. And so there was like, okay, who can I look for to help me through and navigate this space? And so
Yes.
looking at that commonality of understanding of where I am and what I'm trying to do here in this space, who can I trust? It's really a
Hmm.
trust thing as well. Can I trust you with the things that I'm actually bringing to the table and vice
Yeah.
versa? I think as I've gotten older, it became, I am a disabled person. And so there's that piece of, when I walk in with my cane, how are you responding to that? And how are
Mhm.
you, understanding? And I might not need you to make everything perfect for me, but I need you to understand that I'm here to bring all of me, even
Yeah.
it may present a little wonky or a
Hmm.
little different or whatever, or how I behave might be a little wonky or a little different.
Hmm. Hmm.
So for me, it's really about understanding, and it's a mutual understanding. It is me listening. It's also allowing the other person to be heard, even when I don't understand. But I'm like, I really don't understand this, and I think
Hmm.
that comes from. And I always tell people this, and I really don't think they get it. But starting in the HIV community in
Hmm.
the 90s,
Yeah.
man, that
Yeah.
makes you understand all the things all the
Man.
time, all the
Yes.
and I tell people
Yeah.
that all the time. I said, no, I did not come to that space a person living with HIV. I was not a person in the LGBTQ community. I was not that. So I came with it going, what the heck is going on? But man, did you learn all
So
levels of
much.
allyship.
So much. And one thing I learned from you, which is just a huge key point in allyship, is believe people. Believe people when they tell you about themselves. Like believe them. So
Yeah.
if there was a person who came in and was like, well, I had to come in here because my pimp's outside and I didn't want to see him because he
Mhm.
wants me to, and I was like, is that? And you were like, yes.
He
If
sounds
that's what
good.
that lady said, then we gonna sit here, we're gonna believe her.
Yes.
Okay. And we're gonna take
Yep.
care of her in that way. And that was, I think that's a thing where when people hear someone's story and it feels uncomfortable,
Yeah.
and we have had
Some
count-
stories.
countless
Yeah.
uncomfortable
Both stories.
stories
Yeah.
in front of us,
Mm-hmm.
playing out in front
Mm-hmm.
of us,
Yeah.
and there's no way to be an ally for people
Mm-hmm.
if you don't believe them when
Believe
they
it.
tell you
Yeah.
what's going
Yeah.
on.
Yeah. Because it does sometimes the stories we heard sounds like it was supposed to be on TV somewhere. It was like, is this
Even on TV, we would be
SUV?
like, that is
That
far-fetched.
is too far freaking fetched. But what I think was so invaluable, and I tell people all the time, the lessons learned from the participants, the lessons learned from people who are forgotten, the lessons learned from people who we think shouldn't have a voice, don't have a voice, etc. I learned so much.
The most
The most,
from
the
those
most
people.
from this about the system, about, I mean, it's all kinds of things
Yeah.
of just sitting and listening. And then you start to see yourselves in, right? I think that's a part of allyship too. Like you might not get it at the beginning, but then you start going, oh, wait a minute.
Yeah.
You
I
were
mean,
in here.
so many times you would say, there before the grace of God go I, because I could have
Could
very
have
much
easily
been in this
it,
situation
one
if I'd have just made one
one
different decision.
decision. Yep, one decision away. One decision away. And then I think it helped to connect to what we were talking about, right? Like back then, the majority of the women that we work with had some level of substance use, right?
Hmm.
And substance use disorder was even seen differently then than it is even now. I mean, it was just a different
Hmm.
thing because of who we were talking about and all those
Right.
things.
Right.
But because that
Right.
wasn't my thing, I
Hmm.
had to really go, but what is still the way that like there's still something in that because it's not about the drug, it's
Right.
about how you handle the world, right? That's
Right.
how you got there. That's really
Right.
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 So that was the way that I was like, well, wait a minute, I had some stuff. I had stuff too. The only thing that was different is I may have used, I may have been already equipped with different tools to be able to kind of get there, or
Mhm.
maybe not. It was just a different ick.
Way that we're made up,
Yeah,
different coping mechanisms that we have that we're
exactly.
born with, or we were taught as
Yeah.
grown up, or not taught,
Are
right?
not
So
taught.
all those things.
Absolutely. And then just having that compassion and empathy and always this understanding that girl, you are just me and you the same. I get it. Let's just roll out together. I have some
Yeah.
resources. You want my resources? I'm gonna give you my resources.
Right.
And I really am trying to carry that over into C Rule and what we're doing. And it's just a kind of a different thing of me trying to help also my team get there, having that real life kind of experiences with folks. So that doesn't feel superficial and is not as transactional, that you really are
Yeah.
making some connections. Um, but yeah, like if it was not for that community in the 90s and us watching our coworkers literally
Mm.
die in front of us. I mean, I don't think people understand we
It
were
was a
watching people sit
crazy
next to us
time.
in a
Yeah.
staff meeting, doze off
Next week,
because,
yes. Yeah, yeah,
yeah,
yeah. Yeah.
yeah. So it gives you a different thing. And I think never before had we had an issue so polarizing that no matter what you did, it was your fault, right? Like you were
Hmm.
gay, you had sex the wrong way, or you use it. I mean, everything was your fault
You
of
were
why
the
you got
reason.
this.
Yeah.
So it really did help me see the world differently as I just kept going throughout my career.
Hmm.
Um, and having an understanding of I always got to kind of present and be empathetic and have my eyes open instantly,
Hmm.
right?
Yeah.
And so that I can see you for you. And then when you show me that it's something else, then I'm gonna go with the something else, right? Like
Right. Right.
if it goes
But I'm gonna
left, it
wait.
goes
I'm gonna
left.
wait for that to happen.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I'm gonna wait for that to
I'm
happen.
gonna
'Cause I'm not
still
gonna
go ahead and approach you like a human because that's what you are
exactly.
in front of me, right?
Exactly.
And even if there is any level of manipulation going on, that is also a survival tactic that you came up
Absolutely.
with to get here in front of
Yep.
me.
Yep.
So
Yep.
that, yeah,
Yep.
there's empathy even for that.
Yeah.
So I think what happens a lot in where people have sort of missteps in allyship is that there is a disconnect between the person we are or we want to appear to be
Mm.
versus the people that we never I don't remember a moment of being trained, and when I talk about being trained, like this is where I literally cut my teeth on everything. I was braces, okay? I had straight hair, a ponytail, and I was like, how can I help? I was a child. I was 19 years old, learning how to put on condoms with my mouth. But because why? Because I needed to be able to relate to the people we were talking to. But there was never a moment where we were superheroing for anybody.
Mm-mm.
We were not saving anyone.
Mm-mm.
We were not um on a higher level than
Mm-mm.
someone.
Mm-mm.
We were their peers
Yeah.
who just happened to have access to more information and
Yep.
or supplies or whatever.
Yep.
And because we are peers, I'm going to give you what I got.
Yeah. Yeah. It's always seeing yourself in the person. And I mean, you're absolutely right. I think the peer piece was always important
Hmm.
of I'm with you and there's commonality.
Hmm.
And I think sometimes in this space, it's a us, them, I'm here to serve. I'm here to not. I don't want to say, but
Yeah.
I don't know.
To help.
There.
I'm helping.
I'm helping.
Yeah.
I'm in this helping thing,
And I
and
think
I
that's
even
the
tell
myth.
yeah yeah. I even tell my staff even now that believe you me, if you don't answer the phone, that person is still more savvier than you in some ways, and still may figure it out. Like you really think they're not going to figure it out? They're going to figure it out.
They're
You might
going to figure
not
it
like
out.
it. You might not like it, and it might be a little dangerous, and it might be all the things. But understand the reason why they're picking up the phone because they don't want to go that route, right? Like that is unsafe. I know how to do these things. I'm calling you because I want to do it differently.
Mhm.
But we have to give people credit, right?
Right.
And people are surviving a lot of stuff that I couldn't survive either. Like, you know what I mean? Like I couldn't survive.
Right.
So what we're here to do is so we don't want you to be in survival anymore.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? We want life to be able to flow in a way that you don't feel like you're in chaos and conflict all the time.
Right.
But I, at the same time, and I think what was interesting is because you and me and other staff who were there, we're also having our own stuff. So
Living.
we all were in our own little drama. So we had this
Right.
we could connect. I can go talk to a woman about relationships and going,
Right.
let me tell you about.
Yes.
So we were always able to see ourselves in the women, and it wasn't a difference. Really wasn't a difference
Right.
except for circumstance.
Right.
You know what I'm
Right.
saying?
My homelessness looked different. Like I had 18 keys for different places where I could sleep at night
Exactly.
instead of it looking a different way, but I still didn't have my place.
Right.
Right?
Exactly. Exactly. And I think we were just able to identify that in ourselves.
Yeah.
And so there was just a commonality
And I
and
think that is where the trust happened, right?
yeah, yeah,
Because we didn't come with a energy of anyone is below us and we're
yeah,
saviors in any sort of
yeah,
way.
yeah.
We were like, we get it.
And
Let's see what we can do.
yeah, let me see, girl.
Hmm.
You know, and
Right.
sometimes and I think even as a team being able to, lift up. I was giggling about a situation. I remember we were doing, and it was with one of our team, Pam, and, and one of the women was pointing her out to me, and I looked at her. I was like, "Girl, you gonna be all right." And Pam bust out laughing because she knew I had nothing else to give. That was it. That was all I had. Girl, you gonna be all right. And Pam
You
turned to look
gonna
at me and
be all
laughed
right. Yeah.
because that was all I
That's what
had.
you
And
had.
then, but
Yeah.
Pam was able to jump in
Yeah, yeah.
because she knew the backstory. Like Rhonda does not have it for so let me help her. Let me help her help you. So I mean, it's all of those things, and not to say that we were the experts in shine. Believe me, we failed, and there were people we didn't get connected services and things that
Yeah, for
happened or
sure.
whatever. But I think we also were able to grow and have an understanding of connectedness, right? And how and why that is important. And you see it a lot now post COVID, that people are lacking that,
Hmm.
the
Yeah.
connectedness to community and what that really means and how it should work and function.
Yeah.
Thus the chaos,
Yeah.
right?
I love that you said that because that is a super duper segue to my next question.
Yeah.
You are, whether you like it or not, excellent with community work and connecting in community. And you are so valuable to the Indianapolis community where we live and in other communities outside of where we live, but especially here, we need you the most, okay?
Thank
Um,
you.
if people are in a place where they are feeling that disconnect, right? But they're wanting to do more, what is a good sort of way to get involved with community?
I think now more than ever, you have more opportunities to actually connect,
Than
right?
before COVID?
Yeah, because I think
Hmm.
before everything was about I got to leave my house.
Hmm.
And you really actually still don't
That's
have to
really
leave.
true.
You
You
don't
don't
have
even
to
have to
leave
do
your house. You ain't got to leave your house. You don't have to leave your house. You can join on some online groups. I mean, you have to participate in those things.
it.
I think anything about community and connection is you do have to make a step, right? It is not going to come to you. It is not going to always remember you.
Right.
Not, like
Yes.
because it's gotta move and it's gotta do its thing. So I think you have to make that first step. I'll give an example. I'm not a joiner. Like people know that I'm not the
Like by your own will, you're not a joiner. People
no,
will make you join.
I do not like to join things. So I wasn't a part of a sorority. I'm not a part of clubs. I just that's just not my vibe, right? But there was a leadership training that came up. And it came, and it was one of those things that kept glaring, like it was lights going. I
Yes.
kept thinking about the Beetlejuice sign and
Yeah, I was just about to say like the Beetlejuice
here you go. So I was like, oh, am I going to do this? Because I knew I needed a certain kind of connectedness to a certain level of community, right?
Yeah.
So I remember filling it out and I sent there was a part for a recommendation. So I sent it to my friend Lisa and she
Mhm.
came the funny thing she said, "You agree to do this?" I was like, yes. But the point is I had to do it. Like I had to come out of myself
Mhm.
and get myself there those days because I'm good at saying I don't feel like doing that. I'm not gonna go.
Yeah.
Nope. So you have to commit to a level of community in a way, right? Community is very uh 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 and it's going to move without you. It's going to keep
It's
going.
gonna happen no matter what.
It's going to happen no matter what. So you have to be thoughtful and think about how you want to connect with however you see community for you, right? If it's
Mhm.
in sisterhood, if it's in help, if it's in what church, I don't know, whatever.
Mhm.
You have to think about what that engagement looks like for you and truly show up when you're in that space. So I didn't go to these things and just sit there quietly.
Right.
I was like, I'm raising my hand and I'm having conversations and I'm
Because
meeting.
honestly, what's the point? If you're not gonna just do, if
If
you're
you
not gonna show
right,
up and be there.
if I'm going to come out of myself,
Right.
I need to kind of do that. So I really would just say you can start simple. Like I said, there's online stuff.
Hmm.
There are virtual little pop-up meeting things that are happening. That way you don't feel, you can be in the house, you don't have to go outside.
That's right.
But I think it's really what community are you longing for?
Mhm.
What is it? Is it,
That's what you identify first. Like, what are you really looking
what
for?
are you looking for? Is
Mhm.
it godly things? Is it this kind of thing? And then
Yeah.
there's a community for that. Is it I want to pet a dog on a Thursday community? Go pet the dogs. There
Yeah.
are dogs. They go help the pit bulls and the things. I
Yeah.
think I think that's the thing is that we have become so internalized, um, and there is this expectation that things should come to and be about us. And sometimes there's a usness in there's this thing that's happened a lot.
Hmm.
Um, and we have to like let some of that go a
Yeah.
little bit if you want to be a part of
Community.
community on that kind of level.
Yeah.
um yeah, so you have to break down your own ick first, your own kind of
Yeah.
petty thing, and say,
Yeah.
okay, what do I want to do, and be courageous
Yeah.
and
And
make
come
the
and
step.
come out and show up as yourself.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. That's
Mhm.
great. Thank you so much.
Oh, you're welcome.
So, one of the things that we were talking about on our phone call post-election is women's health.
Mm-hmm.
Now, you and I have always lived in a red state. We were blue one time, and that you remember that one time Obama got
The
elected?
one time it was a
That
fluke,
one time.
the last minute, the last
We were
minute
like, what's
turn
happening now? Who voted for what?
blue. Yeah.
this state has always been what it is.
Yep.
And so some of the laws that are becoming national laws or just ways of thinking about women's health, especially, has always kind of been happening here.
Mm-hmm.
And so, with the fear of of that happening, how can people find where, Mr. Rogers always said when a disaster happens, and I think a disaster happened.
Yeah.
When a disaster happens, when something like this happens, find the helpers, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so if someone's kind of newly in a place where they feel like, oh, I don't know where to look or where to go, what kinds of places should people start looking for help or allies in the community?
Well, I would say this. Wait a second. Wait a
Wait a
second.
second. Okay.
Wait a second, because I think we're all trying to figure it out, right? Like the answer hasn't come yet.
Okay.
And so you may be ready to get fired up and I want to go fight the power and burn a building down. And
Hmm.
okay,
Hmm.
hold on. Because I think there's still some things we haven't figured out. And just like I said, being in Indiana, it's red. Our Office of Women's Health is kind of
Yeah.
wonky. It is what it is. So as a female serving organization, has always been an uphill battle.
Hmm.
Like I said, we think of women in body parts, not wholeness, and so changing a lot of that. But I think the feeling right now that people are having, just kind of sit in it a little bit. I mean, and what are you mad about? And then you may be able to direct it in that area a little bit,
Hmm.
and then use it for that. But even I am sitting in it a little bit.
Yeah.
Even before this election, we had people who didn't realize there was an abortion ban in Indiana. Like we're still trying to do that.
Right.
They
Like
should
that
have
was
going.
brand new information. Yeah.
There's a ban happened before this election. This is last
Right.
year,
Right.
right?
Yeah. This
And
has been
so
going on.
there are folks who don't even know, um, the changes have been going on anyway.
Hmm.
Even if Mrs. Harris had become, we still had an abortion ban in Indiana.
Right. That was still happening.
That's still a thing that we were going to have to figure out, etc. So it's kind of like where do you want to put that energy?
Hmm.
Um, and
To
it's again,
enact actual change.
yeah, it's great to be mad. We all mad.
You're right,
Y'all
man.
mad. I mean, that's the thing, right? But it's how you're directing it, and this is also I get where Black women are right now of saying, "Oh, I'm not doing nothing. I'm not doing a thing,
Uh-huh. Yeah.
and we gonna chill over here and let y'all do it this time." So I get that,
Hmm.
and I think that's the vibe I kind of have a little bit of. Well, I want to see how it settles out a little bit. Um, I think everybody has the right to have the angst because it's not just women's health. Although I say women's health is connected to everything, women's issues connect to everything. But, when we're talking about Department of Ed and we're talking about everything that they're trying to
Right.
dismantle, there's a lot of scary parts to that.
Hmm.
Department of Ed just isn't about public education, but it's about special education.
Right.
It's about people with disabilities. Like it's
Right.
layered. So we have a lot of different parts to kind of go, what is happening?
Yeah. Yeah.
Right. And so I think it's this kind of taking a little step back and figuring out. I mean, I had a conversation with one of the health systems here who was talking about one very narrow specific issue around maternal health. And I just kind of looked at him like, you have a bigger fish to fry. Like there's bigger. And so I had to remind a health system there was an abortion ban. Well, how are you guys prepping for either pregnancies that are coming through,
Right.
women who are trying their own ways of getting rid of a pregnancy? Like
Right.
there's a number of things that
That you
you
all need
have
to
to
be prepared for.
prepare
Yeah.
for. And the conversation you're having with me doesn't sound like you're preparing for that
Hmm.
health system. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Um, yeah, so there's just a lot, there's a lot.
Are there any, like, I don't know if tried and true is what I mean, but are there any sort of like national organizations? For instance, whenever anybody tells me, how can I be helpful or how can I learn more about LGBTQ plus youth?
Mhm.
I always send them to Trevor Project. Always, always,
Yep, yep,
because
yep.
in general, they're going to get what they need from Trevor, right?
Hmm.
So is there something like that for women's health?
My cynical answer is no, but that's not true. That wouldn't be true. But that's my kind of like, no, not really. But there are some great organizations. Black Women's Health Imperative is great. They're more national,
Hmm.
very good at, doing the research that we need around women's health. Um, who else pops into mind? They're always pop up in my mind first.
Hmm.
Um, I think there's some organizations that have come up around very specific issues around maternal health.
Hmm.
Their names slip me, but there are some.
Yeah,
So there are that are looking at more policy. When you get to the national kind of scope,
it's more
yeah,
policies.
they started looking at more policy and advocacy a little bit, and so there are,
Yeah.
and from the webinars and things, everybody's still trying to figure this out.
Hmm.
The interesting thing though is the abortion ban and Black maternal health. And I have my own way of looking at it that it really has never been about Black babies being born.
Yeah.
So this is why we, the dollars, even in the state of Indiana, you have an abortion ban, but they also have not given money to maternal health. So it's
Right.
like the I
Yeah.
don't how does that work, right? Like you do whose babies you want to be actually born
Hmm.
versus whose babies you don't necessarily want to be born and the mothers. So it's all of that ick. I think that those national organizations are also trying to like kind of go, we
Hmm.
have a very specific thing that's happening to Black women during pregnancy and birth that we have to pay attention to. Um, but then there's all these other things that happen around this abortion ban too. So I
Hmm.
don't know. It's so much going on, and this is why I really keep saying that it's not about body parts.
Yeah. Oh,
You know what I
yeah.
mean? Yeah,
Right.
it's so interwoven. It's going to impact a lot of communities. If you have more babies, you need more daycares. You need more. You need more. Like there's all these other
That are
things
all
that
attached.
are all attached before there was even you know, during the 50s and 60s, women were having abortions, which is in the back alleys and the back rooms.
Right.
So that stuff is going to still happen as well.
Right.
Um,
It's not stopping things, it's just stopping it happening in a healthy
a
way.
healthy, safe environment.
Yeah.
And so I would just say, even though I don't think I've provided the resources, there you can Google.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
there are some very important organizations that are fighting and on behalf of women and women of color. I mean, they're very specific. You go Asian, there's Asian
Hmm.
American women's health organizations. There's the Latino, women
Hmm.
organizations. So you can drill down to even those organizations that are doing some great work nationally.
I love that. And so
Mhm.
I guess the good and the bad news is that there's not a whole lot that's established at the moment, but this is when a lot of movements happen, right?
Yeah,
And unfortunately, um, especially in this country, but I think this is human nature that big movements come out of resistance.
yeah,
If it weren't for pride,
yeah, yeah.
right here, if it weren't for Marsha
Absolutely,
and
Marsha.
Brick,
Yeah,
there wouldn't be pride.
right.
If it wasn't for, all of these movements that have happened from people just having enough. Like we said,
Yeah.
I've had enough.
Yeah.
then there wouldn't be the things that we sort of almost take advantage of or like take for granted now.
Yeah.
So these are the times that those types of things happen. So if you're looking for a way to be involved and a way to start something and be a part of something, this is actually really the time to start doing that
It is.
because
It's
it's
it's time
happening
to
all over.
organize. Yeah, it's time to organize, but it's also time to get into local governments. Like we have to stop thinking that everything happens at the national level, at the federal level, and these you know the
100%.
national
Like
election.
this ban didn't happen under a Republican president.
Yeah,
It didn't happen then.
this has to be how you vote for your governors, your senators, your state legislators. You got to pay attention to what's happening. Like you
Hmm.
really have to start looking, not just getting mad at Biden and Harris or whatever, right? But who
Right.
is your governor? Who is your senator? All of those things. And that, because that is where your day to day is impacted.
Hmm.
You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
Because the federal stuff moves slow. That's a slow movement. Stuff that moves
Yes.
fast is happening at your the state and local levels. So the
And it's
one big
impacting
thing
you a lot faster.
it is getting in the faces of those folks who are making decisions in your state and your cities. Because that's where change is actually going to happen. You know, if you're going to protest, you know, it's like it doesn't matter if you are taking aim and you shooting at the wrong target. You know what I'm saying? Like
Put
you
that on a shirt. Here's
right
the
you
That's
got
a
it.
really good guess.
You got
I
to make
love that.
sure the target is right. Like that sometimes I love my fired up community sometimes, but the target be way kind of over here a little bit.
Right.
It's like,
Yes.
why y'all mad at them? They didn't do they, it's really over here. So that sometimes, we're fighting weird battles. And so locally is where you need to get into the groove, right? If you
Yeah.
really want to, and if it's health, for example, what are your health systems doing? So if we know there's this big national thing that's happening around Black maternal health, for example, what are your local health systems doing? And if they're not doing it at your local health system, or they won't release the data, because that kind of happens too, they won't
Mhm.
let you know how it's happening. That's when you get, those are the people you get in their faces, because that's
Right.
happening to your community, your
Where
people
you
right
live.
there.
Right.
Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Yes, there's opportunity to fight that national, be a part of that, but
Hmm.
you're a part of it if you are making sure a woman is getting health care at a
Right.
local level or whatever, or however you do that. There's a woman on TikTok, for example, who was talking about her insurance company not paying for, she needed a hysterectomy, and there's a Black woman, and she was having five, I mean, all the things. And community showed up in her comment section because she's like, I don't know what else to do. Because I was like, well, here's the things you got to do. Step
Yeah.
one,
Yeah.
step two. And there
Yeah.
were other women going, nope, this is the next step. That's how you show up and you move. And that's just helping one person, but you're
Right.
going to help save a life in that one person. So imagine
Right.
if you're showing up locally and doing that
Right.
same kind of thing.
Right. And then all the people reading those comments are like, "Ooh, now I know." And they didn't
Yep.
even need to be a part of the conversation. They
Yeah.
just got to read the
Yep,
comment.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Give the information where you can give the information and you're a part of fighting the power, right?
Yeah.
It's not to just be holding on, it is pushing out information. I love to go on Facebook or TikTok and you just see people who just put, hey, over here, there's jobs, da 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 da.
Yeah.
Hey, over here, there's a thing, you can get free things over here. That's community and that's
Yes.
revolution and that's
Yeah. Resistance.
resistance.
Yes.
That's us mobilizing, as simple as saying there's some jobs over here.
Right. And the thing is, when things happen on a local level,
Mm-hmm.
it is paid attention to
Mm-hmm.
on a national
It
level.
starts going up.
Like,
Yep.
how in the world do you think that Tim Walz got to be the vice president candidate? Because
Exactly.
he was over there doing his thing
Thing.
in
Right.
Minnesota,
Yep.
okay?
Yep. Yep.
Like doing
Absolutely.
his thing.
Yep.
So that was really great for all the people who live in Minnesota,
Absolutely. Yep.
but that's how that happened. So
Yeah.
you can make your own. town look like that with the
Yeah.
that you're
And
putting
it
up?
could be whatever I know we're talking about those larger issues, but even if it's feeding people, if it's whatever those things,
Right.
there's a way community can show up locally if there are laws that don't make sense. So that's the thing about the right. And I tell people all the time, they actually show up and mobilize. Moms for Liberty are on school boards. They're getting the books banned because they're well organized.
Yeah.
And I will say that is kind of the flaw of the left is we're not doing that.
Mm-hmm.
We do. That's what I said. Remember about the aim, like how where's your strategy?
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
why I say sit back and kind of think about it
I
a little
love
bit.
that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So how are you? They figured out
Strategy.
you got to
Yeah.
be a part. They're a part of the system of getting things changed in that way. They're leading school boards and things like that.
Yeah.
And we're outside going, no, don't take that book out the library.
Right.
Don't
Right. We
don't.
need to be in the office. We need
We
to
need to be
be
in the
at,
office right
yes, in the
next to you.
room where it
And,
happens. Yes.
we got to start saying we're going to run for school boards. We're going to start getting in the rooms
I
all the
love
time.
that.
Show up in this is where when teachers say parents, if you're in the school, things ain't going to happen a certain kind of way. Be in the school.
That is the realist. I worked for a school system and they were like, you need it. And I said, I'm gonna tell you what, they will
Mm-hmm.
listen to you 10 times faster than they will listen to me.
Yep. Get in the school.
Say the thing. Yeah.
Show up. Find the hour. And if you want to be a part of, change, that's where, you can do it. And
Yeah.
there's so many brilliant people. If you just say, I'm going to give my brilliance to this, to make this change happen, be a part of a board,
Yeah.
be a part of there's just a lot of things instead of kind of just being mad online. Like I said, being angry is okay.
Mm-hmm.
What's the strategy?
Feel your feelings, but also,
We got to start moving the crowd a little bit.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love that. That is an actionable step, everybody. That is an actionable step. Get involved. Like, be at the very least, if you are a parent, be involved at your kid's school. Show
Go to the school, help pass out the thing. Do you need a
no,
volunteer on and I hated that stuff. Oh my gosh. When
yes,
they said, hey, my daughter played basketball, we had to work at the concession stand, I wanted to cry. But guess what? I did. I was like, oh, I don't want to do that. I don't want to.
but there you were.
But
And
hi,
and I'm
kid.
and I'm at every field trip,
Yeah,
hiking
I've
through
gone
the
to a
woods
couple of those too.
outside.
It matters. It matters
Yes,
so much. And I think and we get it. We're all overworked. I mean, that's like we get it. Parents are tired. We get all the things.
yes,
But
yes,
those parents who can, please do.
yes.
As soon as my mother retired, she was in a school. She
Yep,
was part of PTA. She was you know what I mean? So
yep.
it's just there's
Even
ways
if you can't be in the school, you can text your teacher.
you can text the teacher. The teacher's gonna be in love with you.
Just knowing that they have somebody on
Yeah,
their team
absolutely.
helping them that's checking it.
Yeah.
Hey, how was your day today? I ask my kids' teacher every year, I hope you had a good day because I
We
know my
know.
kid is crazy.
We know.
I
And
hope you had a
but
good
it also, like I said, it's the simple things of do we know our neighbors? You know what I mean? I had me and my neighbor just had a long conversation. Me and her helped each other out through some stuff. And she's much, much younger than me. She's a
yeah.
20 something. And we just sitting there talking and okay, you need this, Miss Rhonda. Nope, I'm good. Da, da, da. You know, knowing your neighbors can change things. And for
Yes.
example, we were sitting here talking, we were just looking outside. She's like, that tree is dead. I was like, girl, those trees are both dead. Just from that, because we're like, and those trees are gonna follow us.
We need to get those trees down.
We can get these trees out. You gonna call? I'm gonna call. Something as simple as that's a neighborhood
Yes.
watch thing, or we both
Yes.
noticing we need a speed bump over here. So there's different levels of involvement without being a Karen. You ain't gonna become
Mhm.
that. That's different energy.
Yeah.
Yeah, but you can make sure everybody's all right. girl, I got extra
Yeah.
something over here. Do you want some? I got a thing. You need a thing?
Yes.
That
Comedian
starts.
and actress Amanda Seales said, "We are each other's business." And we just are.
Hmm. I mean, and like I said, not in the policing. We're not policing.
No, but are you okay?
Are you
Do
okay?
you need my neighbor has chickens and sometimes she says, "Hey, y'all don't go to the grocery store this week. I have eggs for y'all. We
Yep,
have too many and y'all don't need to go spend money on eggs because everybody on TV talking about how much eggs are.
yep,
Here, take these eggs.
yep.
Thank
That's
you.
community.
Thank you."
But
Yeah.
yeah, but that's community, and that's a part. But it's a part of resistance. We got to start seeing
Yeah.
that stuff. Is every kid on your block eating breakfast? Do
Come
you know that? Do you know what I'm saying? Do they actually eat?
yes.
Okay, we know it's, fall break. Mama gotta still work. Are all the kids gonna be okay during that fall break? It's little
Right.
things like that. And we're not talking about, it's just 7 kids on this block. Everybody
Right.
got food. Who's watching the
Right.
kids for you, mama? You great. It's those kind of things that we just have to get back to because that is what they are relying on us not being in community.
Yeah.
And that's
Yeah.
the thing that people don't realize. I had a conversation with a staff member, and her group had picked, reproductive justice as the critical issue they're working on. And I said, well, you do know you have to understand the opposing viewpoint. And you have to get, and I mean, in an empathetic way. And she was
Hmm.
like,
Yeah.
I said, yeah, you do. I said, because
Yeah.
that's how we build back. They never
Yeah.
actually have to change necessarily the total viewpoint. But if we start building it up from a mutual place
Because
to
honestly, are you going to listen to somebody who keeps telling you that you're wrong and you're wrong and you're wrong? How in the
yeah,
world am I going to open myself and feel vulnerable and even want to change my mind if you don't even understand where I'm coming from?
yeah, exactly. And now mind you, we know some people are trying to control bodies and be evil and take it
Yeah.
back to 1802.
Right.
We get that stuff. But
Right.
there are people who are out with their little Bibles and just really truly believe that you're gonna go to hell for doing this or whatever.
Right.
And so that spiritual thing or that religious thing, you can still have some understanding. I actually had a conversation with 2 pastors, and this is prior to the ban. And I was on their show, and we were talking about it, and of course they were very, oh no, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, man, I said, but guess what? I said, I don't really need for you to change that for you to understand this is a healthcare issue. And so they was like, what? I said, yeah. And so
Like feel your feelings, but also,
yeah, but let me share my point of view in a way that I'm not trying to challenge you and make you not believe that it's a
right.
baby at this, let me tell you how this is going to impact women. And by the time I start talking about the miscarriage thing and how this is going to change some stuff and blah, 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 and they were like, oh, and I said, understand why some women say they're not going to have a child is more systemic than it is just the decision. So how do we change the atmosphere of, do you have enough food? Do you have enough employment? Do you have enough resources? Do you have enough things? So that decision doesn't get switched in the way that you don't like it. So
Yeah.
after having a conversation, not that they changed, they were understanding.
And that's it.
They were like,
That's
oh,
it.
that's what we're talking about. I was like,
Yeah.
yes.
Yeah. I saw a TikTok video where I think a young man of Asian descent was
Mm-hmm.
talking to an older white man and he was like, you're really in this conversation, you're really into facts. You are really
Yeah.
wanting to know about facts. Why did you vote for Donald Trump
Yeah. Yeah.
who is not
I seen that
into facts?
TikTok. I
Have you
saw that
seen
TikTok.
that?
Yep.
And the man's answer, just in case you haven't seen it, is that, Donald Trump is about preserving white people
Yeah.
and
At the end of the
whiteness.
day,
And
yeah.
that is the only reason I voted for him. And,
Mm-hmm.
making sure people who weren't born in this country leave and that,
Yep.
and so one, as as that could be for folks to hear, I
Mhm.
actually appreciated his honesty
Yeah.
because it helped me get to a place of empathy.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you are, for generations, have been able to benefit from this system,
Mm-hmm.
if your ancestors
Mm-hmm.
gained this control, however it was gained,
Mm-hmm.
and that's not the part
Mm-hmm.
that's in the forefront of whiteness's mind, right? But
Right.
if you were able to gain this and you've had this advantage and this privilege in your life, the thought of that going away has got to be scary.
It has to be,
Because in
yeah.
because
Yeah.
if there's a chance that the people who you had to do bad things to in order to get here, if they're able to do those things to you, that would be terrible.
Mm-hmm.
That's a scary thing.
Yeah.
Even
Yeah.
though most oppressed people just want to be able to live, they don't want to do
That
colonization.
see, that was the thing. I was like, even though how cute their thinking is,
We don't want that.
yeah,
We
like,
don't want that.
yeah,
But the
yeah.
thought of that can be scary. And the
Mm-hmm.
thought of not knowing where you stand in this country after knowing for the duration of it being established in this way, um can be scary. And so for that, I was able to get empathy. I don't agree, obviously.
Yeah. But you understand, there's an understanding of how he got to that point,
Yeah,
even as skewed as it is. And that's the trick of whiteness, that it plays the game against everybody, even white
everybody. We're
people.
all given the same programming.
It is the same programming. And unfortunately, that is not seen, that you're getting played, because I always argue that it's really an economics game that is, than race, but race is a really good tool. It's a more effective tool, so
Yep.
that's what's being used. And so that is where we are. And so there's no coming back from some conversations, right? Like there's some conversations that are not going to be had. People are so far removed, and we get
Hmm.
that, because this, in some levels, what happened is very cultish, and deprogramming takes a minute. And there's a lot of work that's going to be done,
Yes.
have to be done on that side of it. But it always kind of goes back to be that my mom, when she was working at the post office, this has to be like early 80s, late 70s, early 80s, whatever. And she used to have lunch with a known KKK member.
Um,
And my father's like, she's a nut. I don't know why she's doing this. But they would have a standing lunch date kind of thing. And her whole thing was, I just want to know how he thinks. She said, now, mind you, didn't agree with anything he was saying, but she was like, I really just wanted to know. And my father would say he would be looking for my mom to talk to her. Like, it really changed him in a weird way. And that he was like,
mhm.
where's Charlotte? Where we want to talk to her. But she said, no, I want to understand, how did you get here? So they like, every so often they would link up and just
Mhm.
have these conversations. And her thing was, I wasn't there to be offended. I knew he's gonna say something offensive. Like, I knew, because he's a Klan member.
Right.
Um, so, I don't know if we're there to have those difficult conversations. I don't
Mm.
know if some people believe we need to have those difficult conversations, because it does seem repetitive. It does seem like we are still having to do that labor
Yeah.
that we shouldn't have to do. And that's why you have the Black women saying, not us, we've done
Yeah.
all this labor.
Yeah.
So I understand all of those things. So it is up, I think, for the majority population in this country, the majority population, to figure that out. Like, it is some, and so that is where that labor then comes to those good white folk who say they're good white folk, those who said they wanted to make blue bracelets and all those things, to actually get in there and do that work and
Yeah.
have those tough conversations. And it will make white women have to take a different look at themselves and how they participate in the issues and problems that we're also having. And like I said, it's complicated. And I don't think we have to, as Black people, still have to carry on that labor, because it's hard for our mental health to keep on carrying that
Right.
burden. You know what I'm
Exactly.
saying? So we're in a state of healing too. I think we have to heal from all that work and labor that
Yeah.
we've had to do.
And if anything, I'm happy that everybody being unwavering about their healing. I'm happy that that has come out of it.
Oh, absolutely. I love seeing Black women say,
No,
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 not
with their whole
today.
chest.
Yeah, I'm going
Not
on
today.
vacation.
One last question we have, we're almost done. So if since there may not be a physical centers of wellness for urban women with the people, everyone who is watching today, but they want to be involved in your incredible organization or they want to know more, how can they do that?
But we have an office.
Yes, but maybe if someone from Seattle is watching this
Gotcha.
and
I see what you're saying. Yep,
yeah,
yep, yep, yep. You can still be involved because we do things online. We have online classes. I think there's ways when you see those things pop up. Please visit us on our Facebook page, especially. We do something called Wellness Wednesdays, and every Wednesday, my staff picks up. Some of them are really cool little lunch and learns. Like one staff did it on fast fashion, and I was like, girl, this is interesting. I didn't know this environmental justice stuff coming through. But most of our online sites, for example, Facebook is CWU Online, so you can find us through Facebook there. Our website is cwuwonline.org, so you can visit our website to learn about our programs. Um, all other spaces are CWUW, so Instagram, Pinterest, even, we're
yeah.
still over there. YouTube is CWU as well,
You're on
CWUW.
TikTok too.
We are on TikTok, and TikTok is CWUW online. Somebody stole our CWU. So
You know
CWU,
what? We'll do some links in the
definitely, definitely. But yeah, we are online. We are get on Facebook with us on Wednesdays and do our lunch and learns and
Yay.
join the team, the crew.
Well, thank you so much for coming and hanging out with me for this
Thank
hour
you, Rashida.
today. I had fun. This is
It
good.
was good. It was
Uh,
good. It was good. Thank you for having
if
me.
you want to hear more from me, I have a email list now. What? It's gonna be down in the comments. That's crazy.
Okay,
So
good.
feel free to sign up for that and make sure that you interact with Siwoo online. It's going to be so beneficial for you and the
Yay.
women in your life. Thank you, Rhonda. You're the best.
I tried. Thank you, Rashida.
This is amazing work, but it's just the beginning. So come back for more.
Absolutely.
I love you guys. Bye.
Bye. Thank you.